All right. Good morning. It's February 10th, 2026, around 10:13 in the morning. Today's my godmother's birthday. Mi madrina. Called her up, said happy birthday. She's coming to Orlando tomorrow with my cousins. They're gonna go to Magic Kingdom on Thursday. Today is Tuesday. But I'm gonna visit them in Kissimmee tomorrow. I won't go to Magic Kingdom, honestly. I've grown away from those parks. But another woman in my life who has shown me unconditional love. That's what a godmother should be, you know? If my mom, God forbid, ever something happened to her, my godmother is my second mother, if that makes sense. My mom chose extremely well. She's also the godmother to like about 4 other children, and she cares equally for all of them. So, great madrina. Happy birthday, madrina. Shout out to my madrina. And I called my cousin up, Jairo Andres. He loves biking. In fact, in the family, he'd been biking for like the longest. He lives in Bogota, Colombia. So he does a lot of mountainous climbs. He said he did La Calera. If you guys know Colombia, in Bogota, La Calera. He did a 5-mile ride, which usually takes him about 30 minutes, but he did a hard climb and he got his personal record. He beat it by 2 minutes, 28 minutes. So shout out to Jairito. Uy, marica. Yo, for real, why would you make a right there, yo? But shout out Jairito, congrats. And then drink some coffee. Try to summarize some of chapter 1 of the Bhagavad-Gita so I could better understand it, better have it retained in my memory. And today is another zone 2. You know how it is, 22.35 miles. I did leg day yesterday, heavy leg day, squats and deadlifts. So recovery day, get the blood pumping through the legs, flowing. Active recovery, getting some toxins like waste and all that out of my legs. I guess that's what Chad said. So sorry, morning. And yeah, let me just pick up real quick off of the last video about industrial society and its future, because I think I went on a little tangent and I didn't get to explain how one of the big flaws or weaknesses in Ted Kaczynski's manifesto is that he had no one to bounce ideas off of. Again, he was secluded in Washington State, I believe. I haven't even confirmed it yet, but it doesn't really matter where he was secluded. How's it going? And so no one could really push back on his ideas. You know, so that's one flaw, you know, because for good ideas to happen, I believe you must have multiple brains discussing and finding the correct argumentations and reasons, and he never had that. He just kind of like confirmation bias where he just believed what he was writing, you know. Of course he had books and authors, but I don't know. I believe, for example, that's why I believe a document like the Declaration of Independence or Constitution are beautiful, because they were made by very intelligent men. Again, doesn't matter the gender. If you guys get mad over the whole intelligent men, it just happened so that it just so happened that in that time it was just men. intelligent men debating, using philosophies from multiple sources and brains to construct beautiful documents. And so that's one flaw I would say in Ted Kaczynski's manifesto. And another discrepancy I found in what I'm talking about is that the app Krishna Bhakti, it added one verse in chapter 1. So I have 3 sources. I have Krishna Bhakti, I have the Bhagavad-Gita with a red cover. I think I got it from Amazon. And then I have another book called Bhagavad-Gita as It Is, which my manager at Home Depot, she's Hindu, she gave me one because I asked her, hey, I'm getting into the Bhagavad-Gita. Is my red book the correct one? And she's like, let me give you the correct one. And it was the Bhagavad-Gita as It Is. And so the red book and the Bhagavad-Gita as It Is, in chapter 1, they have 46 verses. And Krishna Bhakti, there's 47 verses. So I was looking through where the mismatch was created, and it seems that around the verse 31, 32, since Sanskrit is open to interpretation to the English language, it was, 144, wait. It was split up differently in Krishna Bhakti as opposed to the other 2. So from now on, I will be reading off of the app. Of course, books might have, like if I say, go to the last text in chapter 1, I'm gonna say text 47, not text 46. Even though text 46 is probably the correct one, because again, 2 of my sources are text 46. But that's the one where Sanjaya said that Arjuna put down his bow and decided not to fight. And then after that text is when chapter 2 begins. But we left off last time on chapter 1, verse 38. So that's based off the Krishna Bhakti. So again, I encourage people, or the viewer, to have multiple sources, compare. But as of now, I'm just going off of Krishna Bhakti, the app. Chapter 2 has 72 verses in all 3 sources, so that's good. But yeah, and just explaining that a little bit. Industrial society in its future, we could, again, I could talk about that for hours and hours, and we could discuss, but right now I want to read the Bhagavad-Gita. So let's pick up where we left off. Quick summary. So chapter 1, verses 1 through 37 in the Krishna Bhakti, it was setting the scene. The Kauravas versus the Pandavas. Prince Duryodhana on the Kaurava side, and Bhisma on the Kaurava side. Bhisma being the grandfather of basically both sides, but he had a duty to fight for the Hastinapur kingdom, which is the kingdom of Dhritarashtra, and subsequently Duryodhana. And then Arjuna and Krishna on the Pandava side. They are the pious ones, the good people, in this case the moral ones. Arjuna so much so that, in seeing his family members on the other side, decided to not fight and he'd rather give up and beg and ask for a truce, or even die, than to kill his own family members. And he explains that. And as a human being, it makes sense, but these feelings of compassion, they come from attachment to the material body, which has death, but the soul doesn't have a death. And in chapter 2, Krishna explains that. So now we're at the point where, Arjuna is explaining how killing the elders of a dynasty leads to unwanted children, leads to lack of culture, leads to the degradation of society, essentially. And he thinks this is a great sin that he's about to commit in killing his family members of the other side. But, alright. I'm going here to the app. Oh, and hopefully we get to this part. I think it's chapter... Yeah, chapter 2, verse 6. I had to stop and read the context and let's chat for more context because it's a beautiful elaboration of Bhisma and how Bhisma and Krishna's love for his devotees. It made me cry, man. I was reading it on the toilet. I was just reading up chapter 2 and I got to this context and wow, I cried for about 2 minutes. My face got red. I got boogers in my nose. And I was thinking to myself, let me control this. Why am I... But damn. The humility and love in Krishna is truly... If I ever turn away from atheism, as of now, it would be in my devotion to Sri Krishna. Of course, I still have to read the other religions, but damn. Alright. So yeah, we're going to start off back on chapter 1, verse 38 of the Krishna Bhakti app. And I'll just read it again. If you have a book, it might be different, but hopefully with what I say, you can find the same place and follow along. So, give me a sec. Alright, let me just reiterate the last verse we ended on last time. 2 days ago. I think it was 2 days ago. Okay. Morning. Chapter 1, verse 36 through 37 on the Krishna Bhakti app. Morning. O maintainer of all living entities, what pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? Even though they may be aggressors, sin will certainly come upon us if we slay them. Hence, it does not behoove us to kill our own cousins, the sons of Dhritarashtra, and friends. O Madhav, parentheses Krishna, how can we hope to be happy by killing our own kinsmen? And so, commentary or context. And let me see. He was done with. So yeah, Arjuna, he thought it was a sin to kill these people, and in the Vedas, yeah, it states, do not kill any living being. Under most circumstances, of course. He thought killing them would be immoral. However, in the Vedas, in another book, scripture, it says that there are 6 circumstances where it is acceptable to kill. And these are... Wait one sec. $109? Shit. And these are enemies or people who have set fire to their property, who tried to poison them, who have conspired to murder, loot their wealth, kidnap or dishonor their women, or seize their kingdom. And it is also not considered a sin if someone kills an attacker in self-defense. So yeah, but this text, Arjuna was still thought it was a sin to kill the aggressors. There's no pleasure in killing his family members. Text 38 through 39. Their thoughts are overpowered by greed, and they see no wrong in annihilating their relatives or wreaking treachery upon friends. How do you say that, my bad? Wreaking treachery upon friends. Yet, O Janardana, parentheses Krishna, why should we, who can clearly see the crime in killing our kindred, not turn away from this sin? So Arjuna understands that the other side, they're committing sin by just killing their relatives, and then all they see is greed, and they see nothing wrong in killing the Pandavas. But Arjuna is like, why should we do that? Aren't we the pious ones? The more moral ones? Excuse me. And so the context here, it's after the Bhagavad-Gita to explain Arjuna's righteousness, because he is a kshatriya, which is a warrior. So he has a dharma, a duty to defend his own people, his kingdom. But after the occurrences, after the battle of Kurukshetra, Ashvatthama, part of the Kaurava side, this is just commentary and context under this text on the app. He essentially assassinated the five sons of Draupadi, and Arjuna captured Ashvatthama, and Krishna said that a person who approaches to kill with a lethal weapon must certainly be punished. And Ashvatthama did this while they were sleeping. He went to the camp and killed these five sons of Draupadi. So Arjuna captured him, and he cut off his Brahmin's tuft, which I looked up images. It's like a little ponytail in the back of the head in the center. I am not sure, and I do not want to claim I know what that means, but I assume it's very powerful to take off someone's tuft. So, and then they let him go, and they also removed the jewel of immense power from his forehead. Okay. All right. Chapter 1, verse 40. When a dynasty is destroyed, its traditions get vanquished, and the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. And so, commentary. So, since the majority of the people on the Kaurava side were elders, with great wisdom from their life experiences and devotion to Krishna, or just religion in general, these elders have good values and traditions. And Arjuna doesn't want to kill these people, because if that happens, then the women and the children will be brought up and will live without this wisdom of the elders, and it will lead to irreligion. These customs and traditions die when the elders die. So Arjuna wanted to spare these elders. Verse 41. With the preponderance of vice, O Krishna, the women of the family become immoral. And from the immorality of women, O descendant of Vrishni, unwanted progeny are born. Progeny being children, so unwanted children are born. And so, commentary. Women occupied a very high status in Vedic society. I'm just going to read it because I don't want to summarize this and mess up, so I'm going to read it word for word. For families to be religious and societies to be moral, it is necessary that their women be virtuous. And so according to the Manusmriti, it says, this is Sanskrit, Yatranarjas tupuyante ramante tatra devata. Chapter 3, verse 56. And translated, it is, societies where women are worshipped for they are chaste and virtuous, the celestial gods are joyous. And so, yeah, I'll just continue. I was reading the commentary, but I'll just read it word for word as I read it as well. Arjuna became concerned and started comprehending, quote, what would happen to the society in the absence of guidance and protection of elders. The women of the family may get misled. This was his reasoning, his logic, end quote. End quote before I said this is his reasoning and logic. Therefore, Arjuna said to Sri Krishna that if the women of the family turn towards immorality and commit adultery, they would bear illegitimate children. This would not only destroy peace and happiness of the future generations, but also deprive the ancestors of their Vedic rights. Because in Vedic tradition, you give food to your ancestors. I think I read that in the Bhagavad-Gita as it is. And family traditions will be abandoned and the welfare of society will be at stake. So this is I like this verse. I'm going to repeat it before I move on to verse 42. With the preponderance of vice, O Krishna, the women of the family become immoral. And from the immorality of women, O descendant of Vrishni, unwanted progeny are born. Alright, verse 42. An increase in unwanted children results in hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family. Deprived of sacrificial offerings, the ancestors of such corrupt families also fall. So there you go. They give offerings to their ancestors. But if irreligion happens, then those rituals of feeding or offering to their ancestors it breaks. Verse 43. Through the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted progeny, a variety of social and family welfare activities are ruined. Verse 44. O Janardana, parentheses Krishna, I have heard from the learned that those who destroy family traditions dwell in hell for an indefinite period of time. One sec. So it mentions in the other two books, other two sources, that Arjuna, learning from other people, is also a great, character trait of his, in which he learned from the experiences and wisdom of others. So in this quote, you see that he said, "I have heard from the learned." He's heard from the wise that those who destroy family traditions dwell in hell for an indefinite period of time. All right. Verses 45 through 46. Alas, how strange it is that we have set our mind to perform this great sin with horrifying consequences. Driven by the desire for kingly pleasures, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen. It would be better if, with weapons in hand, and the sons of Dhritarashtra kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. So Arjuna here, he was aware that this war, this battle would bring misfortune to many, a lot of death, a lot of loss of the elders in society. And then, but it says here in the commentary, but he was ignoring the very fact that if the wrongdoers were not punished, it would cause greater damage to the society. And so it says here that Arjuna's justification for not killing his greedy cousins and relatives was driven by his own attachment and compassion towards them. And these sentiments were materialistic, not transcendental. Because he had a duty or a dharma as a warrior, as a kshatriya, that were beyond his material body. His delusion had come to a point where he was willing to drop his weapons and allow his enemy to kill him unarmed. Whew. So, I don't know what you guys think in that what you would do in that situation. It's a very, I don't know if you would call it, oh, wait. I don't know if you would call it moral to just give up and get killed or captured, but in this case, that's what Arjuna's sentiments were telling him to do. Don't fight. Don't kill the elders. Let the universe decide what happens, you know. But he was not fulfilling his duty as a warrior to defend his kingdom, his righteousness, his people, and let these immoral beings, warriors, princes, succeed in this battle. All right, last verse of chapter 1. So we're back with Sanjaya and Dhritarashtra, and the translation here goes: Sanjaya said, speaking thus, Arjuna cast aside his bow and arrows and sank into the seat of his chariot, his mind in distress and overwhelmed with grief. So now we see here that Arjuna's reluctance to fight had now reached its climax. This is the commentary, by the way. He had now surrendered to his grief and slumped into deep dejection. His condition was the creation of his own material attachments and caused his dereliction of duty. You know what? 110, I gotta pick it up. And this was completely unexpected behavior from someone who was considered to be the epitome of devotion and self-surrender to God, because he had deep devotion to Krishna. Oh, in fact, this is crazy, that Arjuna was given a choice between an entire army or just Krishna. And Arjuna just chose Krishna, which I mean, you're choosing a god versus an army of mortals, but still, in this case, it just shows his devotion to Krishna. And it just explains here how Arjuna comes from a long line of like enlightened people, celestial people. So why is it now that he is showing these behaviors of like just delusion, of not knowing what to do, of confusion, of grief, when his duty as a kshatriya, his dharma, is to fight and you either die in battle or you achieve what or you win. And spoiler alert, I mean, I just read this quickly on a Google search of Duryodhana, but apparently Duryodhana also went to heaven, even though he he's the immoral one. He's a prince who is full of ego and bad qualities. I forgot the qualities they listed, but like just sick. So sort of like Nero, or what we know of Nero in the Roman Empire. So he still went to heaven apparently because he fulfilled his dharma. That's what I read. I don't know if I'm right or not. I guess when I get to that point, it'll be confirmed. And so here it says, for the benefit of future generations, Shri Krishna wanted to bring about the song of God, the Bhagavad-Gita. And so he intentionally confused Arjuna and created the opportunity to lay down the law, and spread his word. And now that's the end of chapter 1, and now we get to Shri Krishna giving his word to Arjuna. That's chapter 2. Let me go back. Sankhya Yoga. Alright, wait. Oh. Sorry. Oh my god, how slow am I going? I gotta go faster, but I mean, it is a light day, so my legs are tired, so alright. Chapter 2, verse 1. Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna overwhelmed with pity, his mind grief-stricken and his eyes full of tears, Shri Krishna spoke the following words. And in the Sanskrit, here in the commentary, it says that in the Sanskrit, the word kripaya was used, meaning pity or compassion. And this compassion is of two kinds. One is of the divine compassion that gods and saints feel towards humans, towards souls in the material realm, on seeing their suffering and separation to God. So that's one. The second one is the material compassion that we feel upon seeing the bodily distress of others. And material compassion is a noble sentiment that is not perfectly directed. I'm going to repeat that again, because if I could highlight this on my phone, I would. Material compassion is a noble sentiment that is not perfectly directed. It is like being obsessed with the health of the car while the driver sitting within is famished or hungry for food. So Arjuna, with his kripaya, is experiencing the second one. And the fact that he is overcome by grief and despair shows that he himself is in dire need of compassion. Therefore, the idea of his being merciful upon others is meaningless because he himself needs it. Alright, chapter 2, verse 2. The Supreme Lord said, my dear Arjuna, how has this delusion overcome you in this hour of peril? It is not befitting an honorable person. It leads not to the higher abodes, but to disgrace. And so here it's interesting. I'm pretty sure the majority of the viewers know who the Nazis are. And their propaganda or their marketing. And so if you guys didn't know, The term Aryan comes from India, from like that area. So does the swastika, which in Sanskrit is svastika, which is not a bad symbol. In fact, I'll look it up right here where it comes from. Look, I'll look it up right here on Google. Where does the swastika come from? The swastika is an ancient symbol dating back roughly 6,000 to 12,000 years, originating from Eurasia and strongly associated with early Indian culture. Derived from the Sanskrit word svastika, meaning well-being or good fortune. It has historically symbolized prosperity, the sun, and divinity in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. So there you go, which is surprising, you know. These the Nazis took something from what they call subcultural, you know, and they took it as their own. So inherently that philosophy is flawed, because if I think a culture is below me, then why would I take something from their culture, you know? Just make your own, or use a German or, you know, Nordic, anything from your culture. But nah, you have to take something as beautiful as the svastika and the term Aryan, which again, you know that within the Nazi propaganda it means like perfect, like blonde hair, blue eyes. But as we see in the commentary here in verse 2, I'm going to explain it. It means noble. It means like sort of like the Ubermensch, like just a noble guy. All right, small tangent there, but all right, let me read the comment. Let me reread the verse, chapter 2, verse 2, and then read the commentary. Give me one sec. The Supreme Lord said, "My dear Arjuna, how has this delusion overcome you in this hour of peril? It is not befitting an honorable person. It leads not to the higher abodes, but to disgrace." All right, and so yeah, in the oh, someone's calling me. I don't know who that could be. Hello? Yeah, who is this?
Hi, my name is Lucia and I'm returning from Edifier.
Oh no, for Edifier?
Yes.
Oh, the problem, I fixed it already, but thank you.
Oh, awesome. No worries. Let us know if you need help, okay? We're here and happy to help.
Alright, thank you, Lucia. Have a good one.
Alright, thanks.
Bye. Okay. So yeah, in the Sanskrit, in this verse, it has a term anarya. So essentially anti-Arya. Again, Aryan. Okay. So the commentary here. The word Arya in our sacred books does not refer to any race or ethnic group. The Manu Smriti defines an Aryan as a highly evolved and cultured person. Aryan connotes goodness, like the term perfect gentleman. The aim of the Vedic scriptures is to induce humans to become Aryans in all respects. So we should all try to become Aryan, according to Vedic scriptures. And Krishna finds Arjuna in conflict with this ideal, and so he reprimands him by calling attention to his confusion in how to live up this ideal state of being under the current circumstances. I'm just reiterating word for word what it says here in the commentary. And so, the Bhagavad-Gita, or quote, Song of God, end quote, effectively begins here because Shri Krishna, who was quiet until now, you know, he hadn't spoken until now, is about to start speaking. And the Supreme Lord first begins by inducing in Arjuna a hunger for knowledge. He does this by pointing out that his state of confusion is dishonorable and inappropriate for virtuous persons. He then goes on to remind Arjuna of the consequences of delusion, which are pain, infamy, failure in life, and degradation of the soul. Rather than, okay, I like this little commentary, not little, but what do I keep on saying little? I like this commentary here, this paragraph. Rather than comforting him, Sri Krishna is making Arjuna uncomfortable about his current state. We all feel uncomfortable when we are confused because it is not the natural condition of the soul. That feeling of discontentment, if properly channeled, can become a powerful impetus to search for true knowledge. Oh my god, 109? Why am I... It's actually insane and I'm increasing my speed, yo. Wow. Is my heart rate really becoming that good, yo? I'm actually surprised. But, let me finish. Search for true knowledge. The suitable resolution of doubt helps a person acquire a deeper understanding than before. Thus, God sometimes deliberately puts a person in turmoil so that he or she may be forced to search for knowledge to remove the confusion. And when the doubt is finally resolved, that person reaches a higher level of understanding. So I think that's a beautiful commentary piece right there. Because if you're going, oh my god, que marica. Oh man, alright, give me a sec, I got him. Oh, I got it, never mind. When that happens, I usually have to turn the bike upside down and put the chain back on, but I guess I got it. Okay, so God or the universe or whatever you believe in will sometimes, or your life circumstances, you might think, why is God doing this to me? Or like, why am I going through this suffering, this confusion, this lack of meaning, search for truth, lack of meaning, lack of purpose. And this is what you should be asking yourself. This is what, again, this is all philosophy. It's not like truth, but I mean, it does. I think the majority of people understand that human condition, that it is only when we are truly down, when we start asking for truth, for meaning, for purpose. So, and that's when you search for it and you're willing to take in and be curious about it and take in religion or structure. And that's what happened to me. I had no meaning after an internship in my junior year in finance. And for about 2 to 2.5 years after, I still had no idea. And I kept on asking questions and all that stuff, and well, I'm not gonna lie, weed helped a little bit. I started smoking and I'm fortunate enough to not have gone psychotic or have gotten paranoid. It makes me reflective, introspective, think about what I actually want to do in my life. And it helped me get this habit of biking a lot. And that also helped me think more and reflect. And thus, I purchased the Bhagavad-Gita, the red book. In fact, I purchased that about 3 years ago, in the middle of all that turmoil or meaningless period that I thought was meaningless. But even those periods have meaning. When you're truly down is when you truly start to question the meaning of life and try to find your purpose. Of course, I'm not saying that I found it completely, but I'm on the first stepping stone, Where before I would have gone down a path I probably would have been miserable in. Gotta take back 2 steps, no, 1, 2, fine, 2 steps to go forward 3, or 1 step to go forward 2. And so, nice commentary there. Sound. How is this a loud environment, yo? I guess it's the wind. Alright. Let me just repeat chapter 2, verse 2. and then move on to verse 3. So, chapter 2, verse 2. The Supreme Lord said, "My dear Arjuna, how has this delusion overcome you in this hour of peril? It is not befitting an honorable person. It leads not to the higher abodes, but to disgrace." Chapter 2, verse 3. O Partha, it does not befit you to yield to this unmanliness. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O vanquisher of enemies. Alright, I'm just gonna read the commentary because I can't summarize it. In itself, it's pretty good. So, successfully treading the path of enlightenment requires high spirits and morale. One needs to be optimistic, enthusiastic, and energetic to overcome the negativities of the material mind, such as sloth, the rut of habit, ignorance, and attachment. Why is there... Oh, it feels like there's like 10 miles per hour wind, but I checked the weather and it said it was like 5. Whatever. Alright, back to the commentary. Shri Krishna is a skillful teacher, and thus having reprimanded Arjuna, he now enhances Arjuna's internal strength to tackle the situation by encouraging him. Alright, so I was just reading the commentary, but as previously mentioned in past videos, or maybe it's the video in which I couldn't upload on February 6th because I deleted all my files by accident. But Sanskrit is beautiful in the fact that you can call someone by many names based on relations or actions, like killer of this demon, son of this, mom or father, mother or father, or certain attributes or character traits. For example, and again, all these are open for interpretation because you can't effectively translate 100% Sanskrit to English. And so here, Arjuna was addressed as the son of Pritha, another name for Kunti. That was O Partha, meaning son of Pritha or Kunti, his mom. And so, yeah, and then another way he was addressed, Arjuna was addressed, was Parantapa, or conqueror of enemies. And here it says, indicated to him to vanquish the enemy that has arisen within him, namely the desire for dereliction of his dutiful action as a Kshatriya or warrior class prince. And here, on the third paragraph of the commentary, it states, Shri Krishna goes on to explain that the way he is feeling is neither moral duty nor true compassion. Rather, it is lamentation and delusion. It has its roots in weakness of the mind. If his behavior was truly based on wisdom and mercy, then he would experience neither confusion nor grief. It makes you think. Alright, chapter 2, verse 4. Arjuna said, "Oh, Madhusudana, or Madhusudan." I'm not sure if I gotta add the A for that one, but "Oh Madhusudan, how can I shoot arrows in battle on men like Bhisma and Dronacharya, who are worthy of my worship, O destroyer of enemies?" And I'll read the commentary again. In response to Shri Krishna's call for action, Arjuna presents his confusion. He states that Bhisma and Dronacharya are worthy of his respect and adoration. Bhisma was an embodiment of chastity and remained a lifelong celibate to fulfill the vow he had made to his father. Arjuna's military preceptor, Dronacharya, was a genius in the science of warfare. Wait, give me a sec. And it was from him that Arjuna mastered the art of archery. Kripacharya was another respectable person on the other side. Excuse me. The saliva went in while I was breathing in, while I was inhaling. Alright. Kripacharya was another respectable person on the other side, whom Arjuna had always held in veneration. To treat these men of high merit as enemies now seemed abominable to the noble-minded Arjuna. If even arguing with these venerable elders was improper, then how could he ever think of attacking them with weapons? His statement thus implies, quote, "O Krishna, please do not doubt my courage. I am prepared to fight. But from the perspective of moral duty, my duty is to respect my teachers and to show compassion to the sons of Dhritarashtra." Again, it makes sense. But the more that Krishna explains it, the more it makes even more sense that these questions and reasons and this confusion is unfounded, has no basis in this religion, at least. And again, that's up to your interpretation, but I'm just reading it, and it is cool. Cool. Yeah, cool. All right. Chapter 2, verse 5. It would be better to live in this world by begging than to enjoy life by killing these noble elders who are my teachers. If we kill them, the wealth and pleasures we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Give me a sec. All right. Let me read this commentary. Let me just take a break 1 sec. Yeah, it's tradition 1 to take a picture of the Twin Towers, a selfie in the Twin Towers. So let me do that real quick. Let me take my phone off of the phone holder. And then 2, it's also tradition to take the camera, the Osmo Action 4, and just turn it and say hi to the camera when we're about 5 minutes away from home. All right, maybe 10, I don't know, but puta, Samarica. America. This phone holder, I'm gonna return it. How's it going? Qué puta. No. Qué mal. All right. I'm back. Let me put the phone back. Oh man. Alright. Sorry about that. Let me just go back to... Let me reread the text 5 in chapter 2. After this highway. Okay, it would be better to live in this world by begging than to enjoy life by killing these noble elders who are my teachers. If we kill them, the wealth and pleasures we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Commentary. Okay, so here the commentary compares this to Macbeth, where, if you guys don't know, Shakespeare, English playwright, and his famous works, Macbeth being one of them, in which Macbeth was a nobleman of Scotland, and one day the king of Scotland, while traveling, asked Macbeth to stay in his castle or his place to sleep, and Macbeth's wife incited or persuaded him to kill the king of Scotland and usurp his throne, become king himself. He does this, but after that, Macbeth and his wife their conscience are dirty, and it haunts them. Macbeth would be found walking in his palace, so fully awake at night, and Shakespeare writes, quote, "Macbeth hath killed sleep, and so Macbeth shall sleep no more," end quote. And the queen as well, his wife, who thought of this idea, even though Macbeth was also, a man, any choice he makes is his own responsibility, so Macbeth also, he can't deny what he did. And so the queen will be found repeatedly washing her hands as if to remove imaginary bloodstains. And so Arjuna considers this. He thinks that if he goes ahead and kill his elder family members on the other side, on the Kauravas' army, then his conscience would not allow him to enjoy any royal benefit from ruling the kingdom. This is going to be the next verse, chapter 2, verse 6, is going to be the last verse for today, because this is where I cried, where I did more research into the certain vows and actions that Arjuna, Krishna, and Bhisma did. And let me just read this verse, and then verse 6, chapter 2, verse 6. Let me go after. We do not even know which result of this war is preferable for us, conquering them or being conquered by them. Even after killing them, we will not desire to live. Yet they have taken the side of the sons of Dhritarashtra and now stand before us on the battlefield. Commentary. And so Arjuna was considering a lot of alternatives and their consequences. He's debating whether or not it would be better to defeat them or be defeated by them. Both options seem like defeat, because if he did win, he would have no more desire to live. And, however, these elders such as Bhisma, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, etc. had acted ignobly, so not noble, by taking the side of the unrighteous Kauravas. The word artakam has been used for them, implying attached to wealth and position. me see, where does it say that? What is this? Atarkam. I don't know where it says that, but I'll take their word. I couldn't find it in the Sanskrit, but alright, the word artakam has been used for them, implying, quote, attached to wealth and position, end quote, and they had taken the side of the wicked Duryodhan. So killing them in the war was a natural consequence. In fact, after the war, Bhisma himself admitted that a teacher who acts ignobly is fit to be abandoned. So Bhisma, again the grandfather of everyone, basically, one of the great generals who chooses, by the way, when he gets to die. He's basically immortal until he chooses. He knows what he's doing is wrong, but he has a vow. He has a vow to defend the Hastinapur, or the Kauravas essentially, and lead them and defend them. How's it going? And this is where something was revealed to me on the toilet that made me cry. Here, special mention needs to be made of Bhisma. According to the Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 9.22.19, he was a great devotee of Sri Krishna. He was a master of his senses and an icon of chivalry and generosity. He was a knower of the absolute truth. And he vowed and had vowed to always speak the truth in his life. Thank you. Even death could only come to him when, this road is shaky, I can barely read. Give me a sec. Morning. Even death could only come to him when he chose to accept it. Morning. For various reasons, he is enumerated amongst the 12 great personalities or Mahajans mentioned in the Bhagavatam. I'm just reading the commentary here. Some Sanskrit from the Bhagavatam. Let's see if I can say it or butcher it. Svayambur Narada Shambhu Kumara Kapila Manu Praladu Janaku Bhishmu Balir Vayasakir Vayam. And translation, these are the 12 great knowers of religious principles. The firstborn Brahma, sage Narad, Lord Shiv, the 4 Kumars, Bhagavan Kapil, parentheses, son of Devahuti, and parentheses, Svayambhuva Manu, Pralad Maharaj, Janak Maharaj, grandfather Bhisma, there he is, Bali Maharaj, Shukadev Muni, and Vedvyas. Okay. Next paragraph in the commentary. Hence, Bhisma was an enlightened soul whose actions could never be against the principles of Dharma. However, his profound character was beyond mundane reasoning. Even though he fought on the side of the Kauravas, he said to Yudhishthir, the eldest of the Pandava brothers, before the war, quote, I am obliged to combat on the side of unrighteousness, but I give you the boon that you will be victorious. End quote. Bhisma knew that the righteous Pandavas, who had the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna on their side, could never lose. By taking the side of the adharma, or unrighteousness, he showed that even the biggest forces on heaven and earth could not make unholiness win in this holy war. He thus offered the biggest sacrifice of laying down his life to assist the divine pastimes of Lord Krishna. The divine pastimes. Next paragraph in the common. Oh, whoa. One sec. Shri Krishna was well aware of Bhisma's deep devotion toward him, despite his fighting from the side of the Kauravas. That is why he upheld Bhisma's vow by breaking his own. Boom. The Supreme Lord broke his own vow to protect the vow of Bhisma. It says here, Bhisma resolved on a particular day during the war that before sunset on the next day, he would either kill Arjuna, the foremost Pandava warrior, or else to save Arjuna, Shri Krishna would have to break his own vow of not lifting weapons in the battle of Mahabharata. Poets describe the vow that Bhisma made. Sanskrit. Aju jo harihina shastra gahaun. Tau lajahun kanga janani ko santan susutana kahaun. I hope I didn't butcher that as bad. And then, oh my God, 101. English translation, quote, if I do not make the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna lift weapons, then I will shame my mother Ganga, and I am not the son of King Shantanu. End quote. Bhisma fought so valiantly that Arjuna's chariot was shattered and he was stranded on the ground. At that stage, Shri Krishna lifted the chariot wheel and came forward to prevent Bhisma from killing Arjuna. Bhisma saw the Lord with the chariot wheel in his hand as a weapon and broke into a big smile. He understood that Bhaktavatsala Bhagavan, parentheses, God who gives pleasure to his devotees, and parentheses, had broken his own vow to honor the vow of his own devotee, being Bhisma. In fact, Bhisma's devotion to Lord Krishna had a very, what's that word? Rasic, R-A-S-I-K, or full of sweetness flavor to it. He used to meditate on Shri Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. There in the evening when the Lord would return to the village. Okay, I mean, the rest is like just showing Bhisma's devotion to Lord Shri Krishna. And then laying on his deathbed, here, wait. Lord Krishna reciprocated his loving devotion by himself coming to meet Bhisma on his deathbed of arrows, and with the darshan of God in front of him. Bhisma, the great Mahajan, left his body of his own volition. Man, that's beautiful. Shit makes you cry, man. And so I asked ChatGPT, oh, what does this talk about Bhisma, Arjuna's, and Krishna's vows? You know, ChatGPT is essentially Google, just gives you the information there conversationally, which is easier to understand. So I'm just gonna try to summarize. So Bhisma, he is the grandsire of the Kurus, bound by terrible vows. Krishna is Arjuna's charioteer, who vowed not to fight. And then Arjuna is the warrior that Krishna is protecting. Bhisma's vows. He vowed lifelong celibacy and absolute loyalty to the throne of Hastinapura, no matter who sat on it. In this case, it was Dhritarashtra and subsequently Duryodhana. And that is why he fought for the Kauravas, even though he knew they were morally wrong. His vow trapped him in adharma, despite his goodness. And a little summary, it says, Bhisma is noble but bound. Bhisma's battlefield vow. During the war, Bhisma makes another vow. Either I will kill Arjuna today, or I will force Krishna to break his vow. Krishna's vow, again, was to not fight. Because Bhisma knows Krishna vowed not to take up weapons. But Krishna loves Arjuna more than his own reputation. So Bhisma was testing Krishna's love and dharma. Krishna's vow. He would not fight, he would not lift a weapon, he will only be Arjuna's charioteer. And this preserved Arjuna's legacy, the idea that humans must fight their own battles. And Krishna keeps his vow until dharma itself is threatened. So Bhisma attacks on the battlefield. Bhisma attacks with full force. Arjuna hesitates, holds back, and cannot counter Bhisma's fury. Krishna sees that Arjuna is about to die, and that dharma itself will collapse. So Krishna does something shocking. Thank you. Krishna breaks his own vow intentionally. He jumps down from the chariot, picks up a chariot wheel, rushes at Bhisma like a warrior. He's ready to kill Bhisma himself. And Arjuna had also vowed that Krishna would not fight. He would only be his charioteer. And so Arjuna breaks his vow to stop Krishna. Wait, what? Oh yeah, so Arjuna throws on his weapons, physically grabs Krishna, begs him to stop. Arjuna would rather die, oh yeah, than let Krishna break his word. So Arjuna, his duty as a kshatriya was, win or fulfill the dharma, but he stops. He's willing to die and stop Krishna from breaking his vow. Then Krishna breaking his vow. And Bhisma, his response is that he drops his weapons. He is overwhelmed, not defeated. And he says, in essence, today I have seen the truth. Fuck. Alright, sorry, I'm trying to hold back tears, man. It's beautiful. Today I have seen the truth. God breaks his own vow to protect his devotee. So, Bhisma's vow is fulfilled. He did not kill Arjuna. He did force Krishna to break his vow. And so Bhisma is joyful, not triumphant. He's not triumphant, he's not proud that he did it, but he's joyful to see Krishna break his vow because of the love he has for his devotee Arjuna. And so Bhisma's vow was fulfilled. Krishna broke his vow. The ultimate God the Supreme Lord broke his vow for love to his devotee. But it says here, chat says, in Hinduism vows are sacred, but dharma is higher than vows and love is higher than law. I'm gonna blow my nose, wait one second. Krishna breaking his vow teaches God is not bound by rules. He is bound by love. And so what just occurred here shows that Bhisma is righteousness without freedom. You know, he's bound by his vow to defend the Hastinapur kingdom, but he still is a righteous man. Krishna has absolute freedom and he chose vulnerability. And so God values relationship over reputation. And so I didn't really understand Arjuna's vow, and so it says here that before the war, Arjuna accepted Krishna as his charioteer on one condition. Krishna would not take up weapons or fight. Arjuna alone would do the fighting. And it was a binding assurance Arjuna gave, essentially staking his honor on protecting Krishna's vow on non-violence in the war. Wait. So Krishna, again, the events that happened is that Bhisma's vow is that we'll either kill Arjuna or make Krishna fight in the war, breaking his own vow, breaking Krishna's own vow. And evidently that's what happens. Krishna grabs a chariot wheel and he's about to kill Bhisma to save Arjuna. And he broke his own vow out of devotion to his devotee Arjuna. And Arjuna's vow was Krishna will not fight. And so when Krishna rushes forward, Arjuna realizes, it says here, if he lets Krishna continue, Krishna's vow is fully broken. And Arjuna will have failed his own word, his own vow of not letting Krishna fight. So Arjuna, since he's a warrior, a kshatriya, does something surprising, which is he throws down his weapons, physically restrains Krishna, and begs him to stop. By doing this, Arjuna abandons the fight, abandons his duty in that moment, breaks his own vow as a warrior. So he would rather fail as a kshatriya or a warrior than let Krishna violate his own vow, his own word. So this is considered righteous, not a flaw, according to Vedic scripture. Because vows are sacred, but protecting dharma and love is higher, and protecting God's integrity is higher still. Arjuna breaks his vow not for fear, not for ego, but to protect Krishna. Bhisma, seeing this, lowers his weapons, his vow is fulfilled. Arjuna lives. Krishna was willing to break his own vow. Bhisma witnesses the truth. God chooses love over law. Now again, you can decide why is Krishna why does he love Arjuna so much? And that was my next question. Why does Krishna love Arjuna so much? And he loves Arjuna because Arjuna embodies the kind of soul that God can fully relate to. Honest, devoted, courageous, questioning, and willing to surrender without hypocrisy. So he's not questioning or surrendering just to prove his own point. He's actually just trying to understand morality and I guess what to do in these situations. He fully takes in God's word and he trusts it fully in him. And he's also honest and righteous, and you see, as we see from the story so far, compassionate. That's why Krishna loves him so much. Again, I don't know if these events are like they happen on Earth or whatever in the material world, or if some poet somehow came up with a story similar to like the Iliad, or like Homer, the Iliad, or the Odyssey, or Shakespeare. I don't know. But what a beautiful, in my opinion, beautiful moment that teaches a lot. And so, the relationship between God, Krishna, and Arjuna is not hierarchical, because Krishna becomes Arjuna's charioteer, his servant, his protector. In fact, God places himself below his devotee. Why? Because Arjuna's devotion is relational, not transactional. Krishna loves Arjuna because Arjuna loves Krishna without trying to control him. Arjuna does not ask for boons, so like gifts, doesn't demand miracles, doesn't bargain for safety. And even stops Krishna from breaking his vow. So why Arjuna and not others? Again, everything, he's chosen, I don't know. But regardless, it's a beautiful story. And Arjuna was the most transparent, most relational, most human. And Krishna chooses relationship over perfection. So Krishna, too long didn't read TLDR. Krishna loves Arjuna because Arjuna is honest in weakness, courageous in duty, humble in questioning, loyal without bargaining, willing to act for dharma at great personal cost, devoted without ego. Arjuna doesn't try to be divine. He lets Krishna be God and walks beside him anyway. That's the kind of love that Krishna cannot resist. Let me do this tradition, right? Hello. Alright. Give me 1 sec. Let me get past this guy. And so yeah, I don't know, I thought it was a very beautiful thing, a humble, loving God like Krishna. It is a picture of, again, Chat says it is a picture of God that doesn't dominate, threaten, or coerce, but chooses relationship and humility. Krishna is not asking, submit or else, believe without questioning, obey because I am powerful. He's saying, in essence, choose me freely, question me honestly, walk with me, and I'll walk behind you if that's what love requires. A God who can command everything but instead becomes a charioteer, who can uphold every vow but breaks his own out of love, who says he is indebted to devotion. That reframes what God even means. And that's what I asked Chad. I'm like, why am I crying? He's like, you responded to moral beauty, because I'm atheist, but honestly, if I would ever believe in a God, it would definitely be Krishna, man. Alright. Yeah, and then that's what I asked Chad. I'm gonna leave it there. That's chapter 2, verse 6. me just finish this. Finish this ride. I'll blow my nose again. Oh man. The tissues are all wet from sweat, but whatever. Oh shit, the wind. How's it going? Alright, yeah. Let me just repeat chapter 2, verse 6, and leave it at that. And the next time we'll just go to verse 7, chapter 2. So, we do not even know which result of this war is preferable for us. Conquering them or being conquered by them. Even after killing them, we will not desire to live. Yet they have taken the side of the sons of Dhritarashtra and now stand before us on the battlefield. Alright. Well, thank you for listening. And I'll see you guys on my next Zone 2 ride. Peace.